So I had the rest of my year kind of planned out. I had just come off this major push at work to get a bunch of projects out the door, and while in the middle of that IRL crunch, I somehow found something like 40 to 50 hours to grind out an impressions video for Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Let's just say that I was really looking forward to a little downtime, and I was eyeing this Thanksgiving holiday to sort of step back, not work on any new content, and spend all my free time with my family, and in general, just recharge. No sooner had I taken that first sigh of relief, kind of kicked my feet back and popped a cold one when my alerts went off that I had a review copy of Immortals Fenyx Rising waiting for me. And I was like, wait a second, I wasn't expecting this. Did I misread my calendar? And I went and I checked and I was like, no, I'm not going crazy. So at this point, I was really torn. On one hand, I was totally free to just chill out this week. I had nothing pressing, nothing on the calendar that was screaming at me to complete it. But on the other hand, I had a review code to a game I wasn't expecting and a genre and style of game I haven't played in forever. So at this point, you're probably like, what did you end up doing? And since you've got more video ahead of you, you can probably guess what I did. I booted up Immortals Fenyx Rising, hit record, and man, I'm glad I did. So first off, we need to talk about just how horrible the title for this game is. I'm sorry, but it really is terrible. I'm sure many of you know that this game was originally called Gods and Monsters, and then supposedly Monster Energy Drinks filed a lawsuit against Ubisoft for copyright issues, as if Monster Energy Drink and Gods and Monsters could ever be seen as an infringement. But there you go. And so Ubisoft, under the guise of what was labeled as a creative choice, came out with their new and improved title, Immortals Fenyx Rising. Ugh. Anyways, I really didn't go as hard as I could have this past week. I mean, I probably dropped about 15 hours into this game, but there were really several sessions where I just sat down, hit record, and then the next thing I knew, 3 or 4 hours had just blown by, and when I logged off, I felt truly impressed. If anything, I think this game really flew under the collective radar of the game industry. I mean, I know it did for me. In terms of what little I knew about it and sort of expected from it up front to what I got in the end, it was really refreshing. Now, it's not going to blow away the other releases this year, and I wouldn't put it into the Game of the Year discussion, but it delivers a solid open world experience, kind of like a Zelda or a Ratchet and Clank, where it brings a little bit of fun and a bit of adventure marketed to all age groups, and for what it was trying to do and convey through the core game mechanics, it did solidly. To be perfectly honest, I really wasn't expecting what I've gotten so far out of this game, and I am just as surprised as you. So let's next talk about some of those core mechanics and take a much deeper dive into Immortals Fenyx Rising. I really think an interesting element to this game is how the narrative line is delivered, and that it is told as a story from Prometheus to Zeus, with you playing the part as the hero in the story as Phoenix. Anyways, long story short, all hell has broken loose in this world as Typhon, a titan, has broken free of his bonds and imprisonment and has come back with a vengeance. Zeus ends up asking Prometheus for his help, but instead, Prometheus offers up another solution, with Phoenix serving as the central protagonist, standing in as a champion for Mount Olympus as Typhon has literally trashed this entire world and demoralized the gods. Prometheus begins telling his tale of adventure with your ship crashing on the island, and from there you are eased into the role as hero. Now, this island that you are placed onto is really divided into several explorable regions, all with their own quest lines, side adventures, loot, and of course varying biomes. The first area you experience is more like just a tutorial zone. I mean, nothing much is expected of you while you learn the basic controls, and it is here you will start to see many of the similarities between this game and Assassin's Creed. You can scale vertical faces, and you have this thing called Farsight that removes the fog of the map for easier exploration, of course just like AC games. You have a stamina bar and a health bar, like current AC games, and you've even got it, you guessed it, a crouch, cover, and stealth attack system, much like Assassin's Creed. Finish up in this first tutorial zone, you begin your adventure, and I chose to head over to Ares, the god of war, and get this party started. This whole zone has been ravaged by the battles, and in contrast to the first zone, which was lush and green, Ares' zone has been burnt to a crisp with huge arrows all over the place and the corpses of the fallen, and it really hits for you that as far as the eye can see, this area has been destroyed in the battle between Ares and Typhon the Titan. In general, the world as a whole is stunning with long sight lines, differing biomes, and is just jammed packed with details. Now, as someone that enjoys taking my time in gaming environments and just stopping at points and absorbing all the input that the world has to offer, this game really hit me in ways I wasn't expecting. Just look at what I'm showing you, and this isn't footage from a CGI trailer. This is actual game footage, and it really is beautifully done. I'd like to add that while playing the game on PC, I had zero issues. I mean, none. And this really flies in the face of what we've come to expect from Ubi titles, where when they launch, they have issues. I mean, some of them are game-breaking, and they tend to stutter and crash, and they're just not well optimized. But with Immortals Fenyx Rising, like I said, I had no issues. None. It booted up, it ran amazing, and in contrast to my review copies of Watchdog Legion and AC Valhalla, this game really felt to me like it had already been released and received any patches and updates all prior to my review copy. I mean, it was really just that solid. Despite all the beauty and rock-solid performance, the game has to deliver on combat and general interactions with the open world, so let's next take a look at all that. Now, where Immortals Fenyx Rising really starts to break away from the mold of traditional Ubi games is how it uses the open world. I mean, take recent Assassin's Creed games and how they have these hot spots of action shown in markers on the map and then tons of dead space in between, and you just spend a lot of your time traveling to the next marker. Well, this game gives you that large, expansive feel, but it compresses action and activities into every last inch of that map, and it makes it feel 10 times more dense. You can follow the map markers for the quest lines and of course use your Farsight, which is basically eagle vision from Assassin's Creed, to search out and place markers on your map, but since the map is so densely packed with action, it gives you the freedom to wander and explore, just sort of scout out the world organically. It places a strong emphasis on exploration and discovery, and probably one of my favorite things to do in this world is just wander and bounce from item to item with no real plan. I mean, there's no map marker screaming at me that I need to get over there immediately and complete the next task. And after Valhalla, Odyssey, and Origins, it was just truly refreshing to see this kind of world and play how I wanted to play. Speaking of the map and the activities in the open world, it serves up a nice mixture of straight combat, collecting materials, puzzles, special time trials, and these special rift zones where you go through trials for Tartarus that award you special loot and power-up materials. Outside of all the world activities, there's this hub called the Hall of the Gods, where you can craft potions and upgrade your character's armor and skills. One in particular that I liked was the area where you could upgrade your stamina, and it is literally a gym with a weight bench and speed bag, and Phoenix goes all ham on the equipment, and then once the workout is complete, strikes a pose showing off the muscles. Outside of the hub, you've of course got this whole main quest line running with the story being told by Prometheus, featuring your character versus Typhon, and you are being tasked with freeing the gods and making them whole after their defeats at the hands of this Titan. This style of narrative delivery just really worked for me, as you get Hermes to guide you through your adventures. Now, as I've said, I jumped into the area controlled by Ares, who, at the hands of Typhon, had his very essence ripped from him, and he has been turned into a chicken. Now, throughout the quest for that zone, I was building up to this all-out assault on his former palace. I had to kill a huge assortment of baddies and solve some puzzles that landed me into this boss battle, and eventually I got his essence back and made him whole. In this whole process, Ares and Phoenix just kind of help each other find out what makes the other one tick, and like I said, the pacing and delivery just worked for me. It was also nice to see a quest line or open world task that just wasn't down to slaughtering everything that stood in my path. There was some planning and thought that went into all this, and personally, I really enjoyed it. What would a game about Greek mythology be without combat? And although it is greatly simplified to other games, the combat system in Immortals Fenyx Rising never stood out to me as something that was grossly deficient. It was all just kind of neat and tidy and enhanced the gameplay without overpowering the effects. So, you've got your light attacks that use the Sword of Achilles, and then you've got your Axe of Atlanta for your heavier and more powerful offensive capabilities, and it works on a really simplistic formula. Once you've progressed a little further into the game, you'll unlock combos that deal more damage and combine the two attack levels. You'll also get your hands on Odysseus' bow with a series of differing shot capabilities, including my personal favorite, Apollo's arrow, that really slows down time and allows you to control the flight path of the arrow, so you can turn corners and do all sorts of trick shot antics. You also have a basic dodge and parry mechanic, but for me, even using these simplified mechanics, combat in Immortals Fenyx Rising felt tight, accurate, and satisfying. Later on in the game, you'll be able to enhance your abilities through the accumulation of certain gemstones and coins of Charon to unlock not only these insane finishers and godly powers, but also for your progression tree. And yes, this game does feature a progression system. Now, it's not overly robust, like the insane progression system that Valhalla uses, but it does exist in this game just in a really simplified manner. There is also this RPG-like gear game going on throughout the game where you can collect different armor and weaponry that features small enhancements to certain attacks, like gaining back health, and then later on you can upgrade a general portion, like more damage with swords or enhanced abilities for your armor, and these are all preset and simplified. Now, if you were like me, the moment that you see the endgame footage from Immortals Fenyx Rising, it screams Zelda Breath of the Wild. I mean, it is unmistakable in its similarities. The freeing of the gods, the levitating objects, stamina bars, gliding, I mean, you get the point. I mean, even the reddish glow around Typhon reminds you of Breath of the Wild. I personally don't think it is an unabashed straight ripoff of Zelda, but there are certainly heavy similarities from Breath of the Wild to Fenyx Rising. In many regards, they have taken that game and used it as a heavy basis for this game. But where Fenyx Rising sort of creates its own personality is in the combat systems, the open world and exploration, and of course the heavy density levels that exist here. I know there are going to be some of you out there that look at this game and instantly say, it's a straight Zelda ripoff, and I can totally get where you are coming from. But on the flip side of that argument, and this is me just speaking honestly with you, I have enjoyed the 15 to 20 hours I have put into this game so far, and I could really see this game rolling credits at about the 30 to 45 hour mark, all while engaging the player with puzzles and quest lines in a really chill environment designed to appeal to all age groups. As I start to wrap up, I just wanted to let you know, Immortals Fenyx Rising isn't going to blow you away, and it's not going to be a game for everyone. But there is a cool mix of mythology and an RPG-like mechanic going on here that I really enjoyed, and I look forward to finishing this game up and eventually even hitting the DLCs should there be any. Yeah, that's all I've got for you today on this one. Links to support my content creation include Patreon and Teespring, both in the comments section below, and until the next one, this is LtBuzzLitebeer, signing off.